Good morning y bienvenidos y muchas gracias por haber salido este bonito día para celebrar juntos, porque el día martes regresamos Nueva México a la gente de Nueva México. I'd like to introduce to you, if I could, my husband. This is Chuck Franco, my husband. And I'm so very grateful to have you here. We have, what is it, 3 more days. 3 more days and we will bring big and bold change to New Mexico like you've never seen before. We are committed to the people of New Mexico, and you have heard from many candidates today. And first of all, I want to thank you all for the music. The song was beautiful. The plaque is gorgeous. The words are wonderful. Muchas gracias. Muchísimas gracias por todo. And the float back there, Mr. Torres, thank you for bringing that beautiful stage to this event. That is fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. Gracias, gracias. You know, we've been traveling this state for 15.5 months, and we have been listening to people and their concerns. We wanted to know what was important to you, what you wanted different in your government. And it's the same everywhere we go. It doesn't matter what part of the state we're in. People want to work. People want the best education possible for their kids. They want to feel safe in their communities. They want to make sure that New Mexico and the corruption that has become a common theme in people's kitchen tables when they have conversations, pay to play has been a household term now. They want to get rid of the corruption. We want a strong and reputable reputation that New Mexicans deserve, and that does not include corruption. And so we are going to fight to change New Mexico in a very, very big way. What we want to do is this. We want to make sure that government doesn't think they create jobs, because they don't. It's the private sector that creates jobs, and what government does is merely create a positive environment so that those jobs can be created. And how do we do that? It's by making sure we have regulation that's common sense, that the science supports, and that we get out of the way. If you want to grow your business and you want to go after another contract, or you want to expand your restaurant or your dry cleaners, that you can do that because you have more of your own money in your own pocket. And you can go hire another 2 employees or 3 employees. And those 2 or 3 employees are going to go out and they're going to spend money, and they're going to buy a home, and they're going to buy a car, and they're going to buy clothing. That's how our economy grows. Not by state government growing. And in New Mexico, we've had over 50% growth in just 7.5 years. And the population hasn't justified that. We can't go on the continued spending spree of the last 7.5 years. And if my opponent gets elected, you will have more of the same. We can't keep electing the same people and expect a different result. It's unacceptable.
Right, yes.
I'll tell you where we were. Where we were 7.5 years ago. $360 million in surplus when Governor Johnson left office. Not only has this administration spent that money, they have then grown government by 54%, and now we are in $230 to $60 million in deficit. That's not their money, it's our money. And we are now near bankruptcy. And we have to make sure to tell those that are in office that aren't doing the people's work, we will no longer accept that kind of business being done in New Mexico. And we can unelect them on Tuesday. You know, I understand what it's like to have more money in your pocket. I struggled as a young child and growing up in El Paso. Growing up, my parents lived paycheck to paycheck. My mother had to work. We had to have both parents working the entire time. And one day my father and mother decided to start a business. And it terrified me. I was a junior in high school, and I thought, how are we going to start a business? We don't have any money. We live paycheck to paycheck. And they did. My mom worked during the daytime, my dad, and then at nighttime she did the work in the kitchen. My father went out and got contracts during the daytime, and he had his night job. I mean, they struggled. I was one of my father's first security guards at the age of 18. I secured a Catholic bingo outside in the parking lot. My dad gave me a .357 Magnum with Smith & Wesson gun and he said, go make sure no one breaks into the cars. I said, okay, Dad, I'll make sure no one breaks into the cars. And that's where the business started. They had the guts to do it, and that's what we all have to do, and not rely on state government to give us those jobs. We have to make sure that we are able to grow our economy because we're growing the businesses that we own. My parents grew their business to over 125 employees in 3 states, and we didn't come from money. But it was hard work, and my parents were committed to hard work, and my dad would go out for another contract, and he was able to hire 10 more employees, and then he'd go for another contract and hire a few more employees, and that's how they became successful. And I am proud of their success. There is nothing to be ashamed of when you become successful in business and you're able to add to the economy and provide and generate that kind of revenue that our state needs. We have to have more of that in our state. And this is where I'm very different. This is where I'm very different from my opponent. She has said over and over, she creates jobs. She generates the economy. She's the one that's going to create jobs in New Mexico, and the answer is no. But I have quit arguing with her. I've quit arguing with her because we have lost jobs in New Mexico. So I have finally said, you are right, Diane. You do create jobs, and those are being created in Texas and Colorado and Oklahoma and Arizona, but they're not being created here in New Mexico. We've lost 55,000 jobs in 7.5 years.
Yes.
We have to put people back to work, and we're willing to go back to work, and we want to go back to work and provide for our families. In our education with our kids, 7.5 years ago, when Diane Dennis became the chairperson of the Children's Cabinet, she said, hold us accountable. Hold us accountable is how we educate our children. Right now, New Mexico ranks 49th in the nation in education. That's unacceptable. They have failed our children. And we're going to turn that around. And we're not going to continue to throw money at the education system thinking that that's the answer. Because in the last 7.5 years, we have thrown an additional $728 million at the education system. And where are we? 49th in the country. So obviously it's not about money. It's about the passion of good teachers and good teachers wanting to teach the children, and that we can turn around and provide those teachers with incentive pay to take on the struggling kids. Making sure we're focusing money from that really bloated bureaucracy and moving it into the classroom where it counts. Do you know that only 61 cents of every education dollar makes it to the classroom?
Right.
Only.
Yeah, it's true.
61%. If we move just 4 cents more from the bloated bureaucracy and move it right into the classroom, that's $74 million more for our kids, and making sure that we don't raise taxes one dime. They've lost focus as to where we need to put that money, and that's directly into the classroom. Focus on the kids, making sure we're not passing kids from one grade to another when they don't have the basic skills of able to read and write and do science and math. Right now in New Mexico, 80% of our children in the 4th grade don't read proficiently. So that's where we're losing our kids, and they go into the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, and they can't read in order to learn. They're struggling, and they're not focusing in on those kids that are struggling, making sure that they can read and making sure they progress from year to year. That's why we have a nearly 40% dropout rate in New Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, my commitment is to our children. I'm done having people and politicians talk about our children or our future. Let's start doing something about it. And let's start